Now, as global oil prices continue to surge, the government is rolling out aggressive measures to buffer the shock. From imposing new price caps for petroleum products to expanding fuel tax cuts and restricting Naphtha exports, policymakers are racing to protect both industries and households. Joining us in the studio is our correspondent, Park Jun-han. Welcome back, Jun-han.
Thanks for having me, Dami.
So, Jun-han, walk us through the policies that were announced earlier today first.
So, Dami, the first thing is the adjustment of fuel prices caps on domestically refined oil. 2 weeks after implementing a domestic oil price cap, the government has set new 2-week price caps for gasoline, diesel, and household kerosene, saying they will be raised slightly on Friday in response to sharply rising international oil prices. The gasoline price ceiling will rise from the current 1,724 won to 1,934 won per liter, which is around $1.29, while diesel will increase from 1,713 won to 1,923 won. Household kerosene will also go up from 1,320 won to 1,530 won per liter. Compared to the price caps set 2 weeks ago, these adjustments represent a uniform increase of 210 won across the board. In percentage terms, the ceiling for gasoline went up by about 12.2%, diesel by 12.3%, and household kerosene by nearly 15.9%. Despite these increases, the government noted that expanded tax cuts, also set to take effect on Friday and last until May 31st, will have observed even steeper spikes, effectively lowering gasoline prices by 65 won per liter and diesel prices by 87 won. And these announcements came after President Lee Jae-myung held a second emergency economic meeting on the Middle East crisis. Let's take a listen to what Finance Minister Gu Yun-chul had to say.
In particular, we will place a strong emphasis on stabilizing diesel prices, which are essential for industry and logistics. We will newly include marine diesel under the price cap system and expand fuel tax cuts, increasing the reduction for gasoline from 7% to 15% and for diesel from the current 10% to 25%, a larger cut than for gasoline.
Also on Friday, the government will enforce export restrictions on naphtha, a key feedstock widely used in the petrochemical and other industries, particularly in the production of plastics. Let's take a listen.
First, to secure sufficient naphtha supplies, we will maximize imports by providing support to cover price differences for overseas purchases and ensure that naphtha is supplied as a top priority to sectors such as healthcare, key industries, and the production of essential goods.
While there have been brief instances of panic buying and temporary shortages of trash bags recently, the government clarified that there is no cause for lasting concern. Also, the government said it will closely monitor items vulnerable to price fluctuations and provide necessary support.
I see. Now, Jun-han, I'd like to ask, why is it so critical for the government to take such aggressive measures to subsidize energy costs? And who are the beneficiaries? And also, who are the ones that are about to take the greatest burden when oil prices go up?
Right, Dami. So first, those who benefit the most are major oil companies and their shareholders. Well, historically, when oil prices spike, global and local energy giants post massive profits. In previous shocks, the wealthiest investors, especially the top 1%, captured a large share of these windfall gains through stocks, funds, and direct ownership. But for most people, an oil price hike is not a good sign. Higher energy costs drive up inflation, slow economic growth, and worsen trade balances. Central banks may have to keep interest rates higher for longer, raising the risk of an economic slowdown amid inflation, a scenario often referred to as stagflation. For Korea, a resource-poor nation with one of the highest oil dependencies among developed countries, every jump in oil prices increases national import costs. At the industry level, the impact varies. Refiners may temporarily benefit by passing higher crude costs on to consumers, but petrochemical, steel, chemical, and transportation companies face sharp rises in production costs. For ordinary citizens, the burden is heavy. Lower and middle-income households spend a bigger portion of their budget on fuel, heating, and transportation. As gasoline and utility bills rise, families cut back on other spending, slowing consumer demand. That is why the government is moving aggressively to contain the impact of rising oil prices. Even a distant conflict can quickly ripple through the economy, driving up costs, fueling inflation, and weighing on growth here in Korea.
Indeed. Jun-han, thanks for the wrap-up tonight.
Thank you, Dami.